All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our investor presentation tonight. I'm going to hand this right over to Mr. David Quinney from the Capitan's family office, and he's going to dig into what the investment is tonight. You guys all got a little bit of a preview on Tuesday earlier in the week, and tonight is the deep dive. We're also recording this for those who couldn't make it. So, Ivan, I don't know if you want to say a few words, or if you just want to let David take it away.
Well, no, Sky will, is here to introduce David and so on. So I think we are totally fine.
Yeah, just real quick. So I know quite a few of you. I'm the CEO of Philanthro Investors. Many of you have talked with me, and thank you very much for being here this evening. Got a very special guest speaker, the co-founder, executive chairman, CMO of Fhios, and I'm just going to turn it over to him. He's a fantastic speaker and love hearing him go over everything he's got to say about this opportunity, which is so much to go over. So this is just kind of to open up the can a little bit and kind of whet the appetite on the actual investment opportunity. So as Brian said, I'm going to just turn that mic over to David.
I'm muted. Sorry. No, I'm not. Thank you very much, guys. And off to a great start. Thank you all for having me. Met some of you, I believe, the other day. So great to see you again. And yeah, I know we're on a bit of a clock, so I'll just dive right in. My name is David Quinney. I'm one of the 4 co-founders of Fhios Health Technologies. At a high level, before I get into the slides, the co-founders and I really set out, and the purpose and mission of the business is to reimagine the American healthcare system. And what I mean by that is we're not trying to replace the current system as it is. We're not trying to disrupt the current system as it is. But it is important to fundamentally understand that the American healthcare, or more accurately, medical system, has some pretty significant problems. And it's our belief that a lot of them stem from the fact that it's not really set up to be a healthcare system. It's set up to be a medical system. And so the big difference between what we're talking about is medicine is there to treat you when one is sick or one is hurt, which is incredibly important. Everybody gets sick, everybody gets hurt, hopefully not too often. So we need that. We need physicians and hospitals and clinics and all of these things. What it is not designed to do nor incentivized to do is to keep you healthy, to actually be a true healthcare system. So, we're very actually relatively excellent at treating sick people. We're not set up or very good at leveraging a lot of the same science and technology in order to keep you out of the medical system and healthy and happy for as long as humanly possible. So that's really what we've tried to take on with Fhios in order to build a parallel system that is there to keep you healthy, keep you happy. And if you are going to get ill, as we all do from time to time, to ensure that we catch it early, to be able to know that we can get you in and out of the medical system as quickly as possible with the best possible outcomes in order for all of our members to live a long and healthy life. So that's the basic goal and the mission and really what we started off with. And now what I would like to do is I'll just run through a very quick presentation of how we're attacking the problem and what our vision is looking like. And then I'll come back on for questions if that's all right. So let me share screen. Okay, are we all able to see my screen now?
Yeah.
Just one moment. Okay, great. So in looking at the problem, starting off with that mission, we try to identify, okay, what are we doing well today as a system, and what are we really not doing very well? And so we just touched on a few of it. So we really have sick care. We don't have proper health care. A symptom of that is we end up with oftentimes late detection of cancer or heart disease or Alzheimer's or diabetes. And it's not because we don't want to know about them earlier in order to treat and have the best outcomes. It's because we're not availing ourselves to early stage screening that's affordable and convenient and pleasant. We've made the medical system so labyrinthine that most people just want to stay away from it for as long as humanly possible. So, we had to look at that problem. And then we had to look at the data problem. So anyone that has spent any time in even the top tiers of the American medical system knows how difficult it is to get your actual data and how fragmented it is. Most of the top tier hospitals are still using fax machines, for God's sake. So, you might have your patient records with your doctor here and then a hospital there, and then, maybe a cardiologist over here. And it's really not all shared effectively. So that's another issue in terms of knowing what is actually going on with you. We touched on this a moment ago, but it's traditionally a really poor experience. I mean, nobody likes going to the doctor. Nobody likes going to the hospital, even a really nice doctor, even a concierge doctor's office. Everyone would rather be playing with their kids or working on whatever they're working on or playing golf with their buddies or a myriad of other things than taking a lot of time and energy and cost out of your daily life in order to go keep an eye on your health, which is and should be enjoyable and fun. And it can be. And then, of course, the one that we all hear about all the time is the cost. And the cost in the United States is just unbelievably astronomical. We don't believe that anybody should have to pay an arm and a leg in either insurance or out of pocket in order to maintain their most precious asset, which is either health or time, and these two go hand in hand. If you're not healthy, it's very difficult to be successful at anything else in your life. So in looking at that problem set breakdown, the last thing that was unbelievably glaring to us as we began research in 2018 is 80% of all chronic and then eventually terminal illness are resulting statistically from only 10 things. And that's pretty astonishing when you look at it from a statistical modeling view. So in other words, if you're going to get sick and die, you have an 80% chance that it's going to be from one of these 10 disease conditions. So we decided to enter the problem set there. This is not. We decided to enter the problem set there. That's the solution that I'm about to go through with you. But effectively, the co-founders and I, my two co-founders on the science and medical side are Uzo, who's a biochemical clinical geneticist out of Harvard Medical, and her husband, Eric, who was running public health and macro problems also for Harvard Medical. And we got together and we said, okay, along with the research teams under them, let's not worry about cost right now. Let's design what the best screening protocol in the world would be to target those 10 disease conditions. And the top 10 are heart disease, cancer, stroke, Alzheimer's, liver, kidney. I can't remember if I said diabetes. We'll get into the list down here. But we really said, what would it look like from a blood and genomics and imaging and personal, environmental, behavioral, family health history, molecular microbiome, if we were going to design the screening protocol to take the deepest look to try to see where you are with each of these today and where you will likely be moving into the future, let's design that. So we set out to do that. We began R&D, as I said, in 2018. The research and the design of the protocol took about 2.5 years. And where we ended up is we ended up with what you're seeing on your screen, which is a comprehensive screening panel looking at 80% of all chronic illness. And so once we had that, we said, okay, now we need to make it accessible and affordable. So, and it has to be appealing and fun and a very enjoyable experience. So we said, well, okay, let's look at what you actually need in order to extract this data from an individual. And when you really break it down, when you go to the doctor's office, out of the average 3-hour visit, by the time you drive there, you park, you wait in the waiting room, you have somebody that is not the doctor take your vitals, weigh you, draw your blood, escort you to an exam room. Then they come in and ask you a whole bunch more questions, and then they leave for another 30 minutes. And then finally the doctor comes in and usually spends on average about 4 to 6 minutes with you. And then you leave with either a prescription or they're going to send your labs out and somebody from their office will get back to you. And so out of that whole experience, which is on average 3 hours out of your day, you see the doctor for 4 to 6 minutes. So we thought, okay, well, why can we not do all of that in your home or office at your convenience at a time of your choosing? And the answer is we absolutely can do that. So we partnered with and built out a registered nurse phlebotomist network that will come to you at a time or place of your choosing. And the appointment now takes 15 minutes rather than 3 hours. So they come, they'll take your vitals, they'll draw your blood, the sample collection, and they'll leave and you'll go about your day. That then will go to our centralized labs for processing, DNA sequencing, and then the results will come out 2 days later. Now we got to our next big hurdle, which we've now solved, which is the amount of data that we're collecting based on the screenings that we designed is so immense that it would take our entire research and clinical team, all of them, and there's 8 of them, working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for 8 weeks on average to do the analysis of one individual. So obviously that's not going to scale. So what we had to do next is we had to build a dual artificial intelligence analysis system that one is going to be able to simulate our clinical and research team in order to do the brute force analysis. And then 2, which is the predictive system, to be able to look at structured and unstructured data of where you are today, and then based on genomic variants, behavioral, all sorts of different things, where you will likely be in the future. So in other words, if you have 3 partial blockages near your heart, and you are in danger of an imminent cardiac arrest, you just don't know about it because you haven't had chest pains yet, so you haven't gone to see a cardiologist for it. We'll see that, and there'll be medical intervention today. Now, assuming that's not the case, but you've got 1 partial blockage and you've got high blood pressure and high cholesterol, the system analysis will say, okay, you don't need open heart surgery today, or maybe even to be put on a statin today. You don't need to go to a cardiologist today, which will be your doctor's decision. But here is the predictive modeling for where you will likely be if certain intervening steps are not taken in order to, facilitate an improved outcome from a behavioral standpoint. So once that analysis is done, that is going to go to your precision physician, who is one of our doctors that's trained on the system, and they're going to spend 60 to 90 minutes reviewing all of your results and interpreting everything that the system has looked at. So again, if there are things that are remarkable or concerning, you will have a dedicated precision physician, which is essentially a top of the line concierge internist, that will link to you and will spend the time going through the results with you. And if we find cancerous cells, your physician will have the access to the data. If we find early cognitive decline, same thing. We talked about the heart blockages and so on and so forth. So that really closes the loop on your disease screening experience. And that entire thing end to end is going to take 5 days. So that's the first part of the system, is we need to understand where each individual's health is at a very, very deep level, in order to either have a medical intervention with the best possible outcome before stage 1 cancer becomes stage 4 cancer, or more often than not, to keep you healthy by giving you the best tools in order to do so. And that's really where the platform comes in. So we've built a web-based and multimodal platform. We like to call it an entire health system in your pocket. And so what we want to do is, we don't want to do what's happening in the medical community today, which, think of an annual physical. You go in, they test you, they either find something or they don't. They tell you to eat a little healthier, exercise a little bit more, have less stress in your life, and sleep a little bit more, and quit smoking. Great. So then you go out into the world, and if you're not already doing those things, it's difficult to get in the swing of doing those things, because it's a largely fragmented environment. So maybe you join a gym, maybe you get a sleep monitor, maybe you try yoga and you discover you don't really like it, or you try a farmer's market, but you get there because you didn't realize it closed at 2, and so on and so forth. So what we need to do is we need to make it a completely aggregated and curated experience, which is what we've done with the Fhios Life 360 platform. So while we do the hardcore medical science and diagnostics to find out exactly where you are, and we will do those periodically every year on an annual basis, we also want to provide our members with the tools and the knowledge to be able to act on those health recommendations in a seamless and frictionless way. So that's everything that is included in the Fhios Health platform. It's everything from our version of Masterclass to health libraries, to a digital and a physical marketplace, meal plans, community content, both digital and physical spaces. So we've really endeavored to build everything that you would need in order to act on your personal health, all very conveniently into one platform. Getting more into the numbers, that's sort of an overview of the product and the mission and what we've achieved thus far. So getting into the numbers in the business, this is a look at just the top 10 disease conditions and what the total annual addressable market is in the United States. So currently, some of the big numbers are, there are more cases of these 10 than there are human beings in the United States. How is that possible? Because oftentimes people have more than one. These 10 are a larger cost annually, larger by $100 billion than the entire US health insurance industry. They're climbing over 1.3 trillion a year. And as I said, they're responsible for just over 80% of all chronic illness and death. So it's a pretty massive a market to attack, and it's addressable for pretty much everybody. This is brief. We have a lot more data on this, and I'm happy to pull it up during Q&A, but essentially this is the go-to-market strategy. Once we launch, we will roll out very much the way that Uber did, which means city by city. We're not an entirely digital platform, though we have excellent digital elements. Our product does require physical interaction. So what we do is we model out what we call a market pod, which are the necessary pieces. You'll see that drawn up there on the left, that sphere. Those are the necessary pieces that must be in place in order to launch a geographic market or market pod, which we define as a 40-mile radius within any urban area. So for example, a city like Los Angeles may have 5 or 6 market pods, whereas a city like Salt Lake City would have 1, potentially 2 for the entire Wasatch Front. So the market plan calls for a rollout of 14 cities over 36 months, and then continued growth on there. And they're somewhat autonomous in terms of their growth model. So once we achieve that, and we'll begin slowly, so we're going to launch our initial market, and we will do nothing for the first 3 quarters, but perfect and fine tune that market and make sure that everything is correct. We will then launch a second market, which means that we can run 2 simultaneously, and we will do that for the first 2 quarters. We will then launch 2 simultaneously and prove that hurdle. And once we do that, we'll begin launching 2 cities every quarter for the remainder of the 36-month period. One of the interesting things about the model is the profit margins get progressively larger as we grow. So we've built in sort of the most expensive and the lowest margin year in terms of us and a customer is year 1, and then the margins get larger per customer every year after that. So what happens is you get sort of an exponential snowball effect as we continue to grow through the United States market. These are some sort of comps at a glance to look at, okay, if we're able to achieve all of this, what does the company valuation look like based on, the current market comps? And so, I'm happy to share this with all, but, just a few highlights. As many of you know, Amazon just bought One Medical, which does sort of a portion of what we will be doing. They just bought them for just under $4 billion. They do not make money yet, and they generate $623 million a year in revenue. Conversely, you have sort of a competitor like a Forward Health, which generates $37 million in revenue. They've raised $225 million in capital, and they're over $1 billion valuation now. Everlywell, again, a portion of sort of home care, selling the kits. They'll do $100 million this year, and they're valued at $2.9 billion. So we see a very achievable path to be right in sort of this competitive landscape in the next 36 months, post finalizing the capital raise and the launch. A few of the unique advantages, why we win versus a lot of those other companies, or why we're able to grow faster, is we're a true tech delivery. So we're very asset light, and we're asset light by design. So we don't own our laboratory. We have one of the top reference labs in the country for our processing at scale, but it's a partnership. We also don't employ our physicians. We have a unique partnership with a national network of 4,000 physicians that we have signed. So the physicians are all built into cost of goods sold. So we don't require clinics, we don't require laboratory build, we don't require even many employees to launch an entire city. We actually only need 2 paid employees to launch an entire geo-market pod. And we don't own our imaging centers either, but we have the software integration to their PACS software, and then preferred deals, which makes it an incredible experience. That kind of covers the low comparative OpEx. So we can do the kind of science and diagnostics that our closest competitors in terms of the look at you, people like a Health Nucleus or a Mayo Clinic or a Cooper Clinic, for like an executive physical may cost $25,000 or $30,000, whereas we're $2,500 to $3,000, and we're in your living room. That low overhead enables us to continue innovating and deliver superior products. We do have an excellent founding team. One of the top AI minds in the country, Chris Poulin, is our 4th co-founder. Ran AI for Microsoft for a while, the Defense Department, DARPA before that. So he's come on and is the brain behind the entire AI systematic build. We're a platform model. We're hyper localized, which means that we have the ability to come to our customers wherever they are. So we're able to deal with the food desert, or excuse me, the health desert phenomenon. And we're primarily a genomic core business. And we believe that genetics for the next 40 years are going to be similar to Moore's law and microprocessing from 1970 to, call it 2005, in that the things that we're doing with our genomic screening, we could not have done even 3 years ago. It would have been completely cost prohibitive. We're seeing that the pricing for genomic structures continues to drop. And we're seeing that the capabilities in terms of a deliverable product continue to go up. Where the challenge is the genetic analysis, and that's why we're so very fortunate to have Chris and the AI team that we have to be able to grow and evolve with the advances in genes. So where are we today? We're aware it sounds like an incredibly ambitious vision, but they all are, and they all start, somewhere in the beginning. And we've done a lot of work to get to where we are and to get to a place that we feel very confident launching in the national health technology space. So we began R&D in 2018, but we were actually founded as a company in the end of 2019. We've completed the R&D on the screening protocols. Our user interface functional prototypes are all complete. It's about a $5 million code base. The functional AI that results in under a second is complete. And we are completely founder funded to date. So we're announcing pretty much now our simultaneous rounds, the seed and the A, in order to take this to market and scale. We have some excellent partnerships that enable us to remain asset light. So ARUP is our laboratory. Green Imaging represents over 2,000 imaging centers nationwide. We just signed with Salesforce Health Cloud. By the end of July, we will actually have our entirely complete electronic health record system, which we're calling the Health Data Vault. So all of your records will be always with you, no matter where you are in the world, whether you're in Paris or Rome. So you don't have to worry about transferring your data, taking your paperwork, asking your doctor for anything any longer. And then Phanology is our external media and user acquisition company, which creates all of the content, the ongoing educational content, customer acquisition, et cetera. This is our primary founding team. I won't take the time to go through all of the descriptions of everybody, but this is Uzo, myself, Dr. Erlingson, and Chris Poulin. And then these are some of our supporting team members. We've got some excellent key hires to make coming up, and we are very fortunate to have just a tremendous advisory board as well. Ivan and Philanthro Investors being, of course, one of our favorites and at the top of the list. So that is a quick overview. We have more detail should anyone want it, but I'll stop there, and then I'll come back and open it up for any questions, discussion points that anybody may have.
Awesome, David. Thank you for that. It was very, very well laid out and super exciting. You guys must be super excited.
We're very excited.
We've launched a few companies. We're in the middle of launching a couple more, and it's, where you're at, super exciting. So definitely understand it. Just a couple of quick questions. What's the minimum investment or the blocks of investment?
Right, great question. So we made the decision to raise a seed and an A simultaneously, so that we could service different sectors, types of investors, and we have a use case for each. So for the seed, we're raising $1 million, and the minimum investment for that would be $100,000. And then for the A, we're raising $5 million, and we would accept probably $250,000, but we're sort of looking $500,000 and up for that.
Okay.
For that. If it was strategic, we'd consider looking at sort of like a $250,000 for that. Sure,
gotcha. Do you guys plan on doing any like quarterly distributions along the way, or is it money raised, build, scale, and exit? Is the return on the exit? The return is more than likely going to be on the exit. Yeah.
now, to give you an idea of time frame, we believe that upon cap raise and execution, will be around a $1.2 billion valuation, sometime around 2027. So we'll have to make a decision with the board at that point, whether we'd like to exit, to likely buyers or people like an Amazon Health, potentially an Apple Health, or whether we want to stick with it for another 2 or 3 years, and we'd probably be looking at an IPO at that point.
So if you don't get bought or IPO, there's no plan at all for like shareholder distributions?
Well, I suppose there's currently not a plan, to be honest. Everything that if we're just doing incredibly well, I suppose we may decide to declare a dividend. We discussed that with the board, but honestly, with the growth path that we've got in front of us and the technology innovation, what we would like to do is we would like to just keep reinvesting the bottom line into the growth of the business, marching it towards a very significant exit event.
Okay. And then you said it's founder funded total. What is that total to date?
So we've currently funded it for 1.3 million.
Very cool. That's all I had. Anybody else have any questions? Either raise your hand or unmute yourself.
David, one question, my friend. Thanks for the presentation. Can you clarify to the group also the Harvard doctor that is part of the team and so on, that that I think that will be important to clarify,
Sure, absolutely. So we actually have 3. So Dr. Uzo Erlingson, who you saw in the team deck, and she's in the materials on the website. She is one of 5 biochemical clinical geneticists in the country, one of 40 to 50 in the world. So she was running the genomics research practice for Harvard Medical before she left to come co-found the business with us. You're like, well, how'd you pull that off? She is married to my cousin, who was running public health at Harvard, who's my other co-founder, who's more like a brother, and she's kind of like a sister to me. So their children are my godchildren. So we really came up with this, the 3 of us together, as a brainchild, and we were very lucky to I was very lucky to be right place, right time, where we had access to a top tier team out of Harvard Medical, Harvard Public Health. And then I mentioned the 4th, which is Chris, whose background is creating structured and unstructured artificial intelligence for MIT, Microsoft. He built the original model that we're using for disease screening, originally for the Defense Department and Naval War College. We've built a lot since then. But so we've got one of the best geneticists in the world. We have one of the best public health guys in the world, one of the best AI guys in the world, a truly incredible supporting team. Marianne Lindell, who's our head of genomic research, was one of the heads of Harvard Medical Genomic Research. She's a PhD, not an MD, but she's one of the most brilliant genomic researchers that you will ever meet. So yeah, in short, Ivan, to your point, I'm very lucky to be supported by some really, really smart people.
That's true. That's true, my friend. And I think we were glad that we got to meet, we crossed paths also in 2021, right?
Absolutely.
And the other question I have, David, just because this week is my birthday, is there any way you can allow them to start with less than 100,000?
We could talk about it. If your birthday promo, I like birthday promos.
This week is my birthday for real.
I know. I'll tell you what, it's absolutely something that I think we would be willing to consider. Yeah. Anything for you, my friend.
Awesome, amigo. So Brian, to you, amigo.
Any other
Other-
questions, guys? Either raise your hand or unmute yourselves. I know we get about 20 people on, so. I may have asked all the key ones. I know our group, so.
Alex has a question.
Yeah, thank you. Excellent presentation, David. I was involved in something that's kind of similar to this, but anyway, but didn't go anywhere, unfortunately. How are the investors, the initial investors, the founders, planning on taking their funds out, and when?
How are they taking, excuse me, what was the last part?
How are you cashing out for yourselves, the 5 of you?
We're the primary equity holders at this time, founders shares. So we're all in for the long haul. We're all on vesting schedules. The entire team is. None of us are taking a salary right now, but as part of the modeling, and we're happy to share the financials, we've purposely decided to keep, at least for the founding team, the salaries incredibly conservative. And so, you know, our liquidity event will be your liquidity event.
Thank you.
That does bring another point. So that what percentage of the company is the million seed round representing?
It's going to represent 10%.
Okay.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah, guys. So as you know, we have a lot of common connections with David. His background. He's not telling you all his background, but you know, when you find out, it's like amazing the things that he have done. And originally born in Utah, from a very strong Utah family, and also we have checked all the financials and so on. But David will be able to open to all of you guys. And you know, we took like a year for the due diligence to onboard you, David, right? Since we met, or something like that.
I think it was 9 months, but something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, like a baby, like a baby of due diligence.
Yes. You did a lot. And, you know, we spent a lot of time getting to know each other, filling each other out, making sure it was the correct fit. So thank you for taking that much time with me, Ivan and team. And it is a lot to digest, but we're, you know, incredibly open as an organization. We're happy to share the significantly longer deck that really outlines all of the go-to-market plans and exactly how we plan to achieve all of this. So you don't just have to take it sort of on my word.
No, that would be perfect. If you could get over the longer deck, the financials, projections, usually, you know, this is a condensed version. If anybody's interested, they get the longer version, and then whatever the investor documents are. If you could have Vendy get those to me, I can get those out to the team. On our end, anyway.
Absolutely.
Whoever is interested, let me know. I'll paste my email, and you can just either text me or email me, and then I'll be happy to make sure the connection happens.
Fantastic. Well, I know you guys have something up. See, I finished early. I told you, amazing. This has never happened before.
We get one hand up.
Oh, perfect. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing everybody, I don't think so.
It's over in the chat. Yeah, if you look in the chats next to their name, there's a little icon.
Okay, I just wanted to ask, because I went through, I searched through Fhios, I searched through LinkedIn and Facebook, and I didn't find any post, I couldn't find the page link. So I was concerned, I wanted to find out, is there any regulations that limit
Sorry, my friend, I'm having a difficult time hearing.
I mean, like,
Yeah, you're breaking up pretty good. I think what he's asking.
regulations that limit
Yeah,
You should
you're-
mute him. You should mute him, Brian.
your
Because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
marketing on social media, maybe Facebook also, that may have prevented you from having a LinkedIn page or something like that.
It's not letting me mute him.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, my
I would think
question is
the-
in the comments, please.
MB, I'll answer your question privately, but
So-
I do get your question. So you're
My question
this
is in the
opportunity
comments, please.
so early. So as far as social media, all that build up, you don't quite have that quite yet. But that's definitely not a problem.
Well, and so I'll just add a little something on top of that, Sky, if I might. In terms of the digital and social strategy, the first company I ever co-founded in 2010 is a business called Fanology. You'll see a link to it in the deck. And we built a lot of the digital audiences for the very early large companies. So we built the digital audience and customer acquisition and content channels for Toyota, Walt Disney, ABC Family, as well as a number of startups, some record labels, films. So I no longer actively run that company, my partners do, but they are on board to do all of our digital media, social media, direct to user content. We have a studio that we own right outside of Oklahoma City that's a big campus, so we'll be shooting our educational content there. We have in-house ad buy teams in order to pre-define a customer acquisition cost, back-end analytics in terms of retargeting. So it is a big part of our strategy to not only do the direct on-the-ground sales, but to also do the digital user acquisition and have a very strong content presence across the social space. I hope that's helpful. I think you're muted, Sky.
Yeah, it's helpful. I was really concerned about the contents part of it because sometimes I would need some information or to learn more about you, and I didn't really find enough content on the website. So that's fine. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you.
Awesome. I would say anybody else have any questions? Vendi put her email there. We'll get out the information to our team. Thanks again for showing up and presenting this. It looks absolutely amazing. I wish you guys all the best. I know why Ivan and his team grabbed onto it. It's definitely in that philanthropic, humanitarian sort of vertical of helping the masses on a big scale. So really excited for you guys, and thanks for presenting.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure meeting you all. Have a beautiful afternoon.
All right, be well. Take care.
Bye, amigos.
Bye, amigo.
Everybody.
Amigo.
Everyone.
Take care.
Amigos.